Tonight we're going to talk about the overcomers. The overcomers, looking at Jeremiah chapter 50. Jeremiah chapter 50, what we're overcoming and what we're engaged in as far as an overcomer. Looking at the life of an overcomer. What is an overcomer? What are we up against and what are we trying to accomplish? An overcomer. Jeremiah 50, beginning to read at verse 17. This is God talking. He says this. Israel is a scattered sheep. The lions have driven him away. First the king of Assyria hath devoured him, and last this Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, hath broken his bones. Therefore thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will punish the king of Babylon and his land as I punished the king of Assyria. And I will bring Israel again to his habitation, and he shall feed on Carmel and Bashan, and his soul shall be satisfied upon Mount Ephraim and Gilead. In those days and in that time, saith the Lord, the iniquity of Israel shall be sought for, and there shall be none, and the sins of Judah, and they shall not be found, for I will pardon them whom I reserve. I will pardon them whom I reserve, and that word reserve is referring to a remnant. Those who God has kept sanctified from the massive invasion by Babylon, he will pardon and forgive them because he reserved them. So you see, Israel is a scattered sheep. The lions have driven him away. First he was assaulted by the king of Assyria, then King Nebuchadnezzar in Babylon came and broke his bones. So he's scattered, destroyed, and then his bones were broken by this next invasion army from Babylon. You know, the word Babylon always means confusion. Actually, the word Babylon means confusion. We get the word babble from it. It means to talk in an incoherent fashion. Somebody's babbling, you can make out what they're saying. So the kingdom of Babylon is always associated with confusion. And that's what we get a lot of in our minds when we're overcome by Babylon. He says, go up against the land of Marathaim, even against them, against the inhabitants of Pekod, waste and utterly destroy after them, saith the Lord, and do according to all that I have commanded thee. A sound of battle is in the land, and a great destruction. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware, and thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. The Lord hath opened his armory, and hath brought forth the weapons of his indignation. For this is the work of the Lord, God of hosts, in the land of the Chaldeans. Come against her from the utmost border, open her storehouses, cast her up as heaps, and destroy her utterly. Let nothing of her be left. Slay all her bullocks, let them go down to the slaughter. Woe unto them, for their day is come, the time of their visitation. So with all this hoopla going on in the streets, all the hip hop, all the rap, all the drugs being pushed, all the prostitution, all the hoochies, all this stuff going on, there's an appointed time of visitation when God does something about it. And when he does something about it, he brings utter destruction upon it. So it'll look one way while really it's another. It looks like the devil is running with no resistance, but it's an appointed day of visitation that's being prepared. And you know, what happens to us is we hear that so much until it looks like it's not going to happen. Now you hear that so much. God is going to judge the nation. God is going to judge the earth. Jesus is coming back. You better get right because your time is running out, etc., etc. But there is an appointed time of visitation. You know, your uncle from out of town, he's not at your house until he knocks at the door. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you don't know he's coming until he's ringing the doorbell if he didn't tell you. So, I mean, the visitation happens when it happens. I mean, you're sitting there watching TV, sitting on the sofa, and the doorbell rings, and now your uncle shows up, and you can't even get rid of him out of the house because he's sitting up camp in your own house. But you never planned on that visitation. So who knows when God will do something? So what you have to do is begin to get ready right now, because you never know when the appointed day of visitation is. He said this is the time of their visitation. Talking about Babylon and the confused state of the world. The voice of them that flee and escape out of the land of Babylon, to declare in Zion the vengeance of the Lord our God, the vengeance of his temple. Call together the archers against Babylon, all you that bend the bow, camp against it round about, let none thereof escape. Recompense her according to her work, according to all that she hath done, do unto her. For she hath been proud against the Lord, against the Holy One of Israel. I think that's the number one sin in the world. People are proud. They'll do what they're doing with no repentance and no feeling of remorse, and too proud even to acknowledge how bad off they become. Therefore shall her young men fall in the streets, and all her men of war shall be cut off in that day, saith the Lord. Behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud, saith the Lord God of hosts, for thy day is come, the time that I will visit thee. So you never know. You never know. You never know. Things seem like they run on with nothing happening, but then all of a sudden there's a visitation, and the table turns immediately. And the most proud shall stumble and fall, and none shall raise him up, and I will kindle a fire in his cities, and it shall devour all round about him. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. That's the state of most church folk. It's the state of the world at large, you know that. See, they that took them captive held them fast and refused to let them go. That's the description of demons, fallen angels, and Satan. They're not just going to go away because you want them to. You get somebody addicted on drugs. They just can't walk away from that. You tell them, why don't you stop smoking dope? Why don't you stop drinking? Why don't you stop? It's not that easy, because they that took them captive are holding them fast, and they're refusing to let them go. So the Babylonians are always a type of a parallel kingdom. Babylon is a word picture of Satan's kingdom in the Bible, in the Old Testament. If you understand, Nebuchadnezzar takes on the role of Satan, and the Chaldeans are the fallen angels, and all the ones that come up under their yoke are synonymous with the satanic kingdom in the spirit world. So he's using a natural display of authority and regimentation to show us the regimentation in the spirit world. Israel is the church prototype in the Old Testament, and so if you bring it across to the spirit, you'll see Babylon is synonymous with Satan, and Israel is synonymous with the church in the present day dispensation we're in. It's a spiritual dispensation now. The people of God are no longer a natural people, they're a spiritual people. So Israel is now a spiritual essence, a spiritual entity on earth, and a Jew can become an Israelite if they get born again. So it's a thing that, this thing is a parallel display of how the spirit world works all through the Old Testament. But if you can't pick up the parallels, you'll never see it. So they held them captive, held them fast, and they refused to let them go. Now, if you've ever experienced demonic oppression or possession or vexation, you know demons just don't leave you because you wish they would. I mean, the first thing out of their mouth is, this is my property and I ain't letting them go. You know, the old movie The Exorcist back in the 70s. The thing in that girl, Raven, in the Exorcist movie even said, hey, look, this sow is mine. And you know, that was somebody knew something about demon possession now. That wasn't just a bunch of junk in that movie. Somebody knew something about demon possession and how it works. So when that thing has you, and it comes from a Babylonian oppression, and it has you captive, it's not just going to go away. It has to be made to go away. Now, what makes them go away? Who makes them go away? The next verse. Their Redeemer is strong. The Lord of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause. Now he's talking on behalf of the captive person. Meaning that's Jesus' intercession for the captive. That he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. A sword is upon the Chaldeans. If you know the Chaldeans were professional practicing witches and warlocks, sorcerers. They used spells and incantation. I was talking to a guy the other day who used to push drugs. He used to sell cocaine and marijuana. He said there was nothing for them to get a voodoo book and pray over the drugs. See, drugs are not just drugs on the natural. A lot of that stuff is supernatural. And they'll give you the drugs up front to get you hooked. But it has a supernatural hold on you after that because demons reinforce the drugs. See, marijuana is not a leafy substance smoked in cigarette form. Marijuana is the name of a being who rules over the realm of marijuana. If you get hooked on marijuana, that being has you in the spirit world. You can't see him. All you know is the appetite is now infused and enthralled with the substance. But see, they use things to get you hooked. I mean, everybody knows now the worm is not the problem to the fish. You know. I mean, if it was just a worm dangling in the water, he'd be all right. But it's the hook in the fish. And see, everybody knows now, any good fisherman knows, if you fish with a worm on a hook or any kind of a bait, that fish is not really caught until you set the hook. That's why when they feel the fish strike, the first thing that the fisherman will do is what? Yeah, jerk on the rod. Because he's setting the hook in the jaw. Now see, once he set that hook, he got that fish. Because what is he going to wait for this fish to do? Get tired. If it was a big fish, now a little one, you could just pull it out. But you got a sailfish. They sit on those boats and they rear back in that sea. They have that big, huge rod. And they got to let that sailfish wear himself out. And then they bring him in. And that's just how people are doing when they're attacking your soul to get domination over you. They fool around with your mind. They keep fooling with you. They keep accosting you until finally you get tired. You know, you can walk past a guy saying, "Hey, baby, come here," a lot of times. But after a while, man, he might have rolled away your resistance. That's like a guy that's got big money and he wants you. Now, you might blow him off the first time, but bills coming due, you know, poverty reigning in, lack, you're hungry, got nothing. After about 5 or 6 months, when, you know, you get an erosion away of your life, what he's saying now, although it's not appealing to you, you need it. So he waited for you to need him or tire out or whatever. You know, that's why the world doesn't pay people a lot of money. Because they got to cripple you. They don't want you to have no need for them because you be independent. So they keep the salaries at a certain level to make the populace dependent upon the job. I mean, 99.9% of you all, if you had $5 million given to you tomorrow, wouldn't show up for work, man. I mean, for real, you know. But, well, I love my job. 99.9% of the populace, if you hand them $5 million, when they call you, where are you at? I really don't feel like particularly coming in today. And if I feel like showing up, I will. Then again, if I don't feel like it, I probably won't. Have you lost your mind? This is your... Well, it is my job, but then again, it might not be. You know, it's how you look at it. It's your perspective on the deal. You know, you change. But see, God is trying to get us to a place where we flatline about things and money and stuff like that, so we don't have to get caught up in it one way or the other. But everything that's used to control you must be presented to you in the form of temptation. Any sin that you were in came in the form of some type of a temptation to draw you out. The devil actually exploits the wounds and hurts and the downtrodden state of the human race. You know, if you're rejected, lonely, fatherless, motherless, or whatever you are, he'll use that against you. He'll bring to you acceptance, group membership, being one of the in crowd, belonging, and all this other stuff to make you feel like, you know, what you don't have in one part of your life is being compensated for by his sinful mess that he's bringing to you. Sin is an all-encompassing kingdom. And what do I mean by that? I mean that sins they correspond with each other. In other words, if I lie, I'll steal. See, it's connected. If a person will tell you a lie, they'll steal. There's no such thing as you going out there as a woman and fornicating with a guy and trusting him simultaneously. That's impossible. The actual act of fornication for you makes him untrustworthy. You know that instinctively. You know that. If he lusts after you when you're not around, if he was to go out of town with his job to Chicago, And if he goes out that night and somebody walks up to him that's got the body and got the looks, you know instinctively that he is too weak not to go for it because he loves for you. So sin is a parallel universe where you know instinctively if a person does this, beware of that. So if they lie, hide your stuff. Because they'll steal. If they're unfaithful in one area, then they're unfaithful across the board. If Bill Clinton cheats on his wife, then he's unfaithful everywhere else. See, that's why you can't trust people. When you find out where the glitch is in them, you know it's other things there other than what you just saw. It's across the board. It's an all-encompassing kingdom. There are parallel sins that line up one with the other. If you do this, you'll do that. So, like they say, there's no honor amongst thieves. Now, if you go rob a bank with somebody, you know you can't leave your wallet in the room with them. Because they just robbed the bank with you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, think about what you're saying. I'm robbing the bank with you and then I trust you. How can I trust somebody I just robbed the bank with? If you fornicate, how can you trust the person you're fornicating with? You're a fornicator. If you do any sin with anybody, you instinctively cannot trust that person. Then you know it. Inside you know it, but you try to blow it off like it ain't true. He says, a sword is upon the Chaldeans, saith the Lord, and upon the inhabitants of Babylon, and upon her princes, and upon her wise men. A sword is upon the liars, and they shall dote. A sword is upon her mighty men, and they shall be dismayed. A sword is upon their horses, and upon their chariots, and upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her. And they shall become as women. A sword is upon her treasures, and they shall be robbed. A drought is upon her waters, and they shall be dried up, for it is the land of graven images, and they are mad upon their idols. They've been driven insane. Nobody in their right mind would follow a guy with a gold grill slammed into his mouth, with napkins draped down his head, with his pants pulled down to the crack of his butt, walking around looking like something the dog drug in. Nobody would follow that. That's a form of insanity to emulate that. There's something wrong with you. What person would want to look like that normally? See, that tells you that insanity has been put in place, and they've normalized that which is insane. What does it? They're insane upon their idols. They have graven images. They made another god out there. And the people instinctively who try to fit into the satanic kingdom will emulate whatever the world puts forth as a god. So, because you would not do it. It's not conceivable that you would become that. See, a lot of women walk around half naked because they see Beyonce and Mariah Carey and Lil' Kim and Foxy Brown, and they emulate that. And they don't understand that they just doing that to get money and put on a show for you and take from you. But now you're trying to be them in real life. And you try to tell them, that's not real life, that's a show. That's at Phillips Arena, that's a show. But then they come outside of Phillips Arena and try to live it. See, that's the mind that's unanchored. Why are people's minds unanchored? Because they had no family life to bring them up right. How can a man be a man if he's never had an image of a man before him in his whole life? He didn't have a father. He has no way of knowing what a man is. How can a woman interact with a man if she didn't have a father because you never knew what a man was? So you find some lust-filled dog that's trying to lust after you, you figure, that's it. This is the way men are. Well, how can you know how men are if you've never known a man? So you walk out there into the world, you come out of high school, come out into the world, go to college or whatever, you have no depiction of manhood in front of you your whole life. If you come up in a family with no depictions of masculinity, no husband, no fathers, no brothers, no nothing, and you come up in that with no depiction of masculinity whatsoever as far as a father and somebody to guide you and instruct you and show you things, and then how can you walk out here and even know what it is? So what do? They put 50 Cent and Snoop Dogg and Ludacris and Lil Jon and all these folk in front of you and tell you that's a man right there. So the hoochie girl standing there with 50 Cent porno queens, and 50 Cent wants them. The young people look at that and say, if I become like that porno queen he's lusting after, then the guys will want me. The guys with no father say, well, 50 Cent is a man. He's been shot 9 times. He's anti-establishment. He's a rebel. You see, there's a magnetic draw to people who don't accept whatever the status quo is. Did you know that even in the gospel, that there's a magnetization about you if you don't accept what the church says is right for right now? Because see, a human being instinctively knows that this is game out here. They know the church on the local corner is game. They know the preacher's a pimp. He's taking these folk money. He got the car. He got the house, and he's living off the folk. The folks in the real world, I'm talking about the street people who, the middle class, everyday Joe Blow and Jane Doe. They know it's game. If you can come to a place where you reject it all and you put that forth to them that I don't accept none of this junk, then they can hear you. Like folks come to me and say, you think Creflo run the game? I said, yeah. Creflo about as crazy as they come. So I thought you was a preacher. I am. But I ain't playing. I'm for real. I'm a real preacher. I ain't no fake one. See, it's a difference. Because folk know instinctively that's game. One thing about a person on the street, they know game. They know game when they see it. So, you got to stop trying to talk to them like they're stupid. Most folk that's coming into the kingdom in the end of the age are going to be people from the street. They can understand what the real deal is. I mean, people who talk real plain. They ain't driving around with you. I ain't got to hear all that junk you trying to tell me sounding spiritual. Talking about the Lord, the Lord, the Lord. Look, man, just talk to me plain. What are you trying to tell me? Any fool can see game. You know what I'm saying? You got to understand now, everything in the world in Babylon is game. 50 Cent is game. He knows what he's doing. He figured out what to do to make the money. If you think the buck stops with 50 Cent or Ludacris or Puff Daddy or any of those guys they're putting forth out there as being the people with the clout and the ability, it's a white man sitting right over there in that back room, just pulling all those strings. They got the money. Where would 50 Cent get money to even start up his operation? 50 Cent don't have no money. If you got record companies owned by multi-billionaires, they snuff them out tomorrow morning. See, these people will kill you if you don't do what they say. You find out after a while that, hey, you have to do what they say. Mariah Carey ended up in the institution over this. See, you cannot do what you want to do. You're going to strip your butt down naked, and you're going to shake your behind on these videos, and you're going to do what we say. You're under contract, and we're going to destroy you unless you do what we say. See, you don't see the big picture on a video on BET. You don't see the hell they live. Who want to go on a 60 cities tour, night after night, running from city to city on stage 2 or 3 hours at a time? After a while, man, you do that for 1 year, 2 years. After the third year, you through with it. I'm tired of this mess. Living like this man, living out of hotel rooms, running around, looking crazy. Adulation can only satisfy for a period of time. It gets old. That's why a lot of them drop out. People can't understand why that group break up. They got tired of this junk. See, the devil's kingdom will wear you out. But see, when it wears you out, somebody has to be there to say, look, I got an answer for you. I'm not here to tell you an answer. I'm here to be the answer. Christ is your answer. See, if you think about it logically, how could Paul set out from Jerusalem and go to Corinth, Galatia, Laodicea, all these different cities, all the way to Rome, and make those people believe that a convicted, dead Jewish criminal that was butchered on the cross a few years ago is the Son of God? That's impossible. As closer you get to the crucifixion, the more impossible it is. Because it just happened, let's say, 2 or 3 years ago. In his case, maybe 15 years ago. That guy who they butchered back in Jerusalem is a convicted criminal, butchered like an animal. That was the Son of God. Man, they laugh you out of there. Unless there was some attestation to the fact that he is. There had to be proof that he produced. That same Christ that was butchered now lives in me, and I can prove it. See, until you can prove it, what you got is just the argument, a discussion. You can't save 3,000 people with an argument. Yeah, he was. I'm telling you, he was the Son of God. Prove it. Prove it. The burden of proof rest on the church. There is no reason for those people out there to believe this. She said, well, everybody knows that Jesus, why is a Muslim blowing himself to bits right now over in Iraq if everybody knows that Jesus is God? He really don't believe that. If he did, he wouldn't be blowing himself up for nothing. He believes in Muhammad, the Quran, and Islam. He really believes that. So you got in every religion, and even in real Christianity, you have people who really believe it, and you got clowns. See, some folk got there with a bow tie on, selling that bean pie, selling that first call. Some of them are clowns. They just jive it around. They're trying to see the women in the car, look at your skirt as they drive by, look down at your legs, trying to give you a fur call. They just jiving. But some of them are hardcore. And for you can tell the difference between you meet a real one that really believes in Farrakhan. He's for real. The other guy, he just jiving around seeing what kind of babes I can pick up, with this suit on, and hey, you want a fur call? What's going on, girl? He ain't for real. You know what I'm saying? But some of them, they come to you. Would you like a first call? You can pick up that steel in them. They ain't care about nothing but Farrakhan and the movement. He's real. So in everything, you have the phony and the real. So if you get a real dedicated person in any endeavor in life, you're going to get the person that's going to be selling out to it and will give their life for it. And it's not about what you believe. It's about it's not what system you're in. It's about who you believed in that particular system. Because different spirits will come upon you based on what you believe in and who you believe. So you can't just look at somebody and say, well, I don't see how anybody could believe that, because if you open your mind up to it and believe it, it'll come upon you and take you over and hold you captive to it. The only force we have on our behalf is the supernatural intervention of God working through us. We have to become conduits for Christ himself to manifest himself. That's why it says, their Redeemer is strong, the Lord of hosts is his name. He's a agent of independence and liberation that must come through the church in order to set a captive free. He says, talking about Babylon in verse 38, a drought is upon her waters, and they shall be dried up, for it is the land of graven images, and they are mad upon their idols. They've been driven insane, crazy with idolatry. If you look around right now, nobody would pierce themselves up by this pierced tongues, tattooed up from head to toe, wild looks in your eyes, buck wild, crazy is not normal, man. It's something wrong. Appetites running amok. You wouldn't smoke dope. You wouldn't snort cocaine. You wouldn't smoke crack. You wouldn't lay around with folk you don't know with all this HIV flowing like a river through the environment. You wouldn't pick up nobody tonight at the club and go lay up with them the night after you first met them. You wouldn't do the insane things. You wouldn't curse. You wouldn't drink. You wouldn't smoke cigarettes. Why are you smoking this cigarette? What are you doing? What purpose is it serving? It's a cancer stick. What's wrong with you? See, the offended person with that assumption when it's made to them, when you come against them with that, the offended person is trapped in it. They're locked in it. They're in covenant with that spirit that controls that particular realm. But the person looking for freedom, they're a candidate for salvation. You cannot be saved until you know you're lost and chained up. If I'm not drowning in the ocean, why do I need a life preserver? You have to be brought to a place where you realize, look, I'm messed up. If you look back at your own life here, you had to come here messed up. There's no other way to come. Well, y'all, basically I came in all right. If you think that, you're still crazy. You had to come messed up. And you have to have seen some advancement in your life for this to be the truth. It had to have worked on you. If you take Felicia, you've been here about 10 years. You had 3 babies sitting right here. You've been married right here and had 3 babies, and wherever she is right now, if she goes back in time 10 years and looks at where she came from, there must be some comparison she can make in her own mind to say, oh, how in the world was I like that? And everybody can do that. You can look at yourself and say, after God gets a hold of you compared to how you used to be, you'll look at yourself and say, man, I don't even know how I was doing that. That was crazy. I was crazy. And you were mad. You were mad upon your idols. It was something outside of you that had gotten a hold of you. You're not conscious of it because they don't let you know they're doing it to you. This is the spirit world in operation. They find a million ways to get into your life. Through your parents, through your mother, through your father, through boyfriends, girlfriends, through school, through teachers, through whatever conduit they can find and get access to you. TV, movies, radio, whatever. Music is a good one. They got to get to your mind. They got to get to your mind. You got a lot of empty-headed guys walking around with their hands just moving with CD players playing in their ear. That's the state of his mind. That's not normal. There's something wrong with that person. You know, it's a weird, strange Babylonian system, and somebody's got to step back out of it. First of all, get healed up from the scars of Babylon, and then become a vessel and a conduit through which God can reach other folks. See, don't get so caught up in anything in life that you forget about individual people who need help.
Yes, I know.
Because people need help. They're trapped and chained by the devil. They're held captive by their own appetites, running out of control. Gluttony is a spirit that has a lot of people. See how big people are getting? That's a spirit. A gluttonous spirit likes to eat only. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 12 months a year, all it does is eat. A gluttonous spirit, if you saw one, would be as big as this building. It has an insatiable appetite for food. It cannot be satisfied. You can stuff 10,000 tons of food into a gluttonous spirit's mouth, and it will ask for more. So just imagine if that thing got a hold of you. You know what's going to happen? What's going to happen to you if a gluttonous spirit gets a hold of you? It's going to let you know it's got you. Huh?
No, not necessarily. So you just want to eat all the time.
Want to eat all the time. You might find ways to burn it off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you might just run every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whatever. But you will always want to eat. It'll never leave you. You'll eat all the time. See, a lot of young girls start having sex and they become nymphomaniacs. They get up from sex with a guy, and they go right across the apartment complex to another guy. They leave that guy, they go to another guy. It's something that cannot be satisfied. They're driven all the time to have sex. They can't stop. They go home, they masturbate. They wake up, they're driven to have sex. They got to masturbate. They go to work, they got to leave at the office and go in the bathroom and masturbate. I mean, people think, that's torment. That's being tortured. It ain't nothing exciting or like a lot of porno stars got that way because they became nymphomaniacs. So they got to find some way to keep that thing fed. When that thing is driving you, it's crazy. It's young people out on Metropolitan Parkway tonight, crack addicts, driven. Just another hit on that pipe. Down to 65 pounds, 55 pounds, 45 pounds. They won't eat. If they get $5, they'll get the crack before they get the food. That's a spirit that's using them to live through. The world at large does not realize what's driving them. You go to church and most of these knuckleheads have no clue. They just screaming and squalling down, going down on one ear. Ah! What's that doing for you? You sitting there trapped and bound, about dead, ready to go to hell, 1 foot in the grave, and some guy down on one ear squalling in your ear. That's another form of what? Madness, insanity. God is going to deal with all these churches. He's going to deal with everything down here that's holding people captive and keeping them bound. He says, because you're mad on your idols, this is a cause and effect statement. He says in verse 38, you're mad on your idols. Then he says in verse 39, the effect of that is, therefore is always a effect word. It gives the cause in 38. Now, therefore, the effect is to follow. Because you are mad on your idols, therefore the wild beast of the desert with the wild beast of the islands shall dwell there, and the owl shall dwell therein, and it shall be no more inhabited forever, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. He's calling it a demonic habitation. The demons will live there. As God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighboring cities thereof, saith the Lord, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell therein. Behold, the people shall come from the north, and a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coast of the earth. They shall hold the bow and the lance, and they are cruel. and will not show mercy. Their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses, every one put in array like a man to the battle against thee, O daughter of Babylon. So what physically happened to Babylon, the Medes and the Persians came from the north to destroy it. And he's saying just like physical Babylon was destroyed, he's going to raise up an army of spiritual warriors who will destroy the spiritual Babylon. Look at this. The king of Babylon hath heard the report of them, and his hands waxed feeble. Anguish took hold of him, and pangs as of a woman in travail. Talking about Satan, the parallel of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon. If Satan hears of an uprising of spiritual beings, he begins to go into travail, and he begins to get scared because he's hearing the report that God has raised up an army against him. Behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan unto the inhabitants of the strong, but I will make them suddenly run away from her. And who is the chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who is like me? And who will appoint me the time? And who is that shepherd that I will that will stand before me? Look at the most important question there. God is asking, who is like me? Who is like me that I can trust to lead this invasion? He says, and who will appoint me the time, or meet me at what he's really saying is, who will meet me at a certain time. That's the phrase that's really used there in the Hebrew. He's saying, who is like me, and who will meet me at a certain time. He's saying, it's taking strategy sessions found in prayer now. Meet me on a certain time so we can strategize together how we're going to plan this attack to take out Babylon. So he said, who will meet me at a certain time, and who is that shepherd that will stand before me that I can trust? The person he can put in a place of shepherding the people who won't rob from them, pillage them, fornicate with them, sodomize them, abuse them, rape and pillage them, and torment them, but somebody that's not a clown, but somebody he can trust as a shepherd. Therefore hear you the counsel of the Lord that he hath taken against Babylon, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. So the weakest person in the church will deal with Babylon. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. At the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved, and the cry is heard among the nations. Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them, that rise up against me a destroying wind. Now look, he's raising up now against them that live in the middle of them, the midst of them. One is the natural people, the other is the spirit world, the demons. Demons live in the people. Study Jesus' ministry, he was always dealing with the demons, the unclean spirits in the people. It's funny how you can have all these passages in the New Testament and the Gospels of Jesus casting out demons. You go to church and nobody mentions a demon and nobody casts one out. That's because the demons have anchored themselves in the people so as not to be bothered. So they hold the people captive. And there has to be separation from the demons. Your soul must be basically cut away from them in order to get a new spirit put in you to stand against them. You cannot be mixed with them and have power over them. And was still under Babylon fanners that shall fan her and shall empty her land, for in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifteth himself up in his brigadine, which is a coat. A brigadine is like a heavy coat of mail. And spare you not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her hosts. Thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, so they that are thrust through in her streets. For Israel have not been forsaken, nor Judah of his God, of the Lord of hosts, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Remember it says in Revelation 18, come out of her, my people, that you be not a partaker of her sins. Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are what? They're insane. When you partake of Babylon, the outcome is insanity. Your thoughts become so weird and strange that if somebody logically puts them before you, you'll understand that they don't even make sense to me. Like I said, I'm standing here with a cigarette. What am I doing? Why am I smoking this cigarette? This is crazy. How much did it cost you? $20 a box, $2 and something a pack. burning your lungs black, it's slowly killing yourself. What's the problem with the cigarette, really? The nicotine. You're addicted to the nicotine. You don't like the cigarette. It's the nicotine in the cigarette. The hook is in the worm. It ain't the smoking that calms your nerves. It's the nicotine in the cigarette. You get addicted to coffee. You're not addicted to coffee. You're addicted to caffeine in the coffee. It's an addiction. See, you can be addicted to anything. Addicted to sports. It's not the sports. You know what it really is? It's the rush you get from it. It's not the sports. It's the excitement. The rush of it. It's the feelings that it stimulates. That's what any addiction has to have some intrusion into your soul, but by something is getting stimulated. Pornography. It's not the pornography. It's the feelings that come from the pornography. You see, that's what you're addicted to. It's the feeling. You can be addicted to horror movies. It's not the horror movie. It's the horror and the fear that you're addicted to. It's a stimulus to the soul. You know, waiting, somebody behind the door with an axe. That feeling you're getting from that addicts you. And you got to keep feeling it again. You yell at the TV, don't go in there. Don't go in there. See, it's addiction. You're addicted to horror. You can be addicted to the murder and mayhem in movies. The bloodletting. Till you get a bloodlust. You like to see blood flowing out of folk. It will slowly and methodically desensitize you to murder. See, guys who are murder on murder's row will tell you, they got a bloodlust. They start to enjoy killing. They smash people's skulls and look at it, and it'll send a rush through them. You know, you got people who have sex with dead corpses. See, that's a rush to them. That didn't just come on them. The spirit world kept working on them until they broke down resistance, and it became an appetite. A dead corpse that you're having sex with. See, it's strange. It's weird. It's real crazy out there. But it's the way it is. Alright. He says, they are driven mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. We wouldn't have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go every one into his own country, for her judgment reaches unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. The Lord hath brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us declare in Zion the work of the Lord our God. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes. Remember, the spirit of the kings of the Medes. Medo-Persia was the literal nation that destroyed Babylon. The Medes came first, backed up by the Persians later, and they had a Medo-Persian coalition that became an empire. So he has to raise up the same spirit that was in the kings of the Medes in the church to deal with Babylon. For his devices against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple. Set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon, make the watch strong, let all the watchmen prepare the ambushes, for the Lord hath both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. O thou that dwellest upon many waters, abundant in treasures, thine end is come. Now you remember it says in Revelation again, a whore that sits upon many waters, whoever has a cup of iniquity in her hand, and she's been made drunk with the wine of the fornication that she's partaking in. Same depiction here. You're sitting on many waters. You got treasures. He says, look, thine end is come, and the measure of thy covetousness, thy greed. The Lord of hosts hath sworn by himself, saying, surely I will fill thee with men, as with caterpillars, and they shall lift up a shout against thee. He hath made the earth by his power, he hath established the world by his wisdom, and hath stretched out the heaven by his understanding. When he utters his voice, there is a multitude of waters in the heavens, and he causes the vapors to ascend from the ends of the earth. He maketh lightnings with rain, and bringeth forth the wind out of his treasures. Every man is brutish or stupid by his knowledge. Every founder is confounded by the graven image. For his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. They are vanity, the work of errors. In the time of their visitation they shall perish. Look, every false way, every image that's a lie, all this stuff on TV, the movies, the music, there's an appointed time of visitation. If you're attached to it, if you're an appendage on it, it will visit you. The thing to do now is to totally disengage from everything that will be visited, so you won't be destroyed with it. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord of hosts is his name. Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war, for with thee will I break in pieces the nations, and with thee will I destroy kingdoms. And with thee will I break in pieces the horse and his rider, and with thee will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider. With thee also will I break in pieces man and woman, and with thee will I break in pieces old and young, and with thee will I break in pieces the young man and the maid. I will also break in pieces with thee the shepherd and his flock. See, he's coming even against the church. I'm going to break in pieces the shepherd and his flock. He's going to disband churches. These big assemblies you're seeing, they're going to fall apart. When the word of God is preached, the threat is going to be that the people will hear the truth, and it'll cause that church to implode. Huge mega churches imploding all over the place. Because the people are going to flood out now looking for and receiving truth. See, he's going to come against the shepherds and the flocks. And with thee will I break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen, and with thee will I break in pieces captains and rulers. And I will render unto Babylon and to all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil that they have done in Zion in your sight, saith the Lord. Behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain, saith the Lord, which destroys all the earth, and I will stretch out mine hand upon thee, and roll thee down from the rocks, and will make thee a burnt mountain. And they shall not take of thee a stone for a corner, nor a stone for foundations, but thou shalt be desolate forever, saith the Lord. Set up a standard in the land, blow the trumpet among the nations, prepare the nations against her, call together against her the kingdoms of Ararat, Mini, and Ashkenaz, appoint a captain against her, cause the horses to come up as the rough caterpillars. Prepare against her the nations with the kings of the Medes, the captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. And the land shall tremble and sorrow, for every purpose of the Lord shall be performed against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon a desolation without inhabitation. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight, they have remained in their holes, their might hath failed, they have become as women, they have burned their dwelling places, her bars are broken. One post shall run to meet another, and one messenger to meet another, to show the king of Babylon that his city is taken at one end, and that the passages are stopped, and the reeds they have burned with fire, and the men of war are affrighted. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, the daughter of Babylon is like a threshing floor. It is time to thresh her. Yet a little while, and the time of her harvest shall come. Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, hath devoured me, he hath crushed me. He hath made me an empty vessel. He hath swallowed me up like a dragon. He hath filled his belly with my delicacies. He hath cast me out. Man, that's the depiction of us. Satan is trying to just wow us out. The violence done to me and to my flesh be upon Babylon, shall the inhabitants of Zion say, and my blood upon the inhabitants of the inhabitants of Chaldea shall Jerusalem say. Therefore thus saith the Lord, behold, I will plead thy cause and take vengeance for thee, and I will dry up her sea and make her springs dry. And Babylon shall become heaps, a dwelling place for dragons, and astonishment and a hissing without an inhabitant. They shall roar together like lions, they shall yell as lions' whelps. In their heat I will make their feast, and I will make them drunken, that they may rejoice and sleep a perpetual sleep, and not wake, saith the Lord. I will bring them down like lambs to the slaughter, like rams with he-goats. How is Shishak taken, and how is the praise of the whole earth surprised? How is Babylon fallen? How is Babylon become an astonishment among the nations? The sea is come up upon Babylon, she is covered with the multitude of the waves thereof. Her cities are a desolation, a dry land, and a wilderness, a land wherein no man dwells, neither doth any son of man pass thereby. And I will punish Baal in Babylon, and I will bring forth out of his mouth that which he hath swallowed up, and the nations shall not flow together any more unto him. Yea, the wall of Babylon shall fall. My people, go you out of the midst of her, and deliver you every man his soul from the fierce anger of the Lord. And lest your heart faint, and you fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land. A rumor shall both come and come 1 year, and after that in another year shall come a rumor, and violence in the land, ruler against ruler. Therefore, behold, the days come that I will do judgment upon the graven images of Babylon, and her whole land shall be confounded, and all her slain shall fall in the midst of her. Then the heaven and the earth and all that is therein shall sing for Babylon, for the spoilers shall come unto her from the north, saith the Lord. As Babylon hath caused the slain of Israel to fall, so at Babylon shall fall the slain of all the earth. You that have escaped the sword, go away, stand not still, remember the Lord afar off. Another, and let Jerusalem come into your mind. We are confounded because we have heard reproach. Shame hath covered our faces, for strangers are coming to the sanctuaries of the Lord's house. That's the church world. Strangers have come in. Weird manifestations now. Strange people, idolaters, people who have no business in church, sitting up in church, leading church. Wherefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will do judgment upon her graven images, and through all her land the wounded shall groan. Though Babylon should mount up to heaven, and though she should fortify the height of her strength, yet from me shall spoilers come unto her, saith the Lord. A sound of a cry comes from Babylon, and great destruction from the Lord, from the land of the Chaldeans, because the Lord hath spoiled Babylon, and destroyed out of her the great voice. When her waves do roar like great waters, the noise of their voices uttered. Because the spoiler is come upon her, even upon Babylon, and her mighty men are taken. Every one of their bows is broken, for the Lord God of recompense shall surely requite. He's called the Lord God of repayment. He will balance the scales. Whenever you see the scales tip one way for a long time, and it seems like they're just deeply sunk into this realm of being uneven, he says, I'm the Lord God of recompense. I will balance the scales back out again. He's going to repay according to what was done. And will make drunk her princes and her wise men, her captains and her rulers and her mighty men, and they shall sleep a perpetual sleep, and not wake, saith the King, whose name is the Lord of hosts. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the broad walls of Babylon shall be utterly broken, and her high gates shall be burned with fire, and the people shall labor in vain, and the folk in the fire, and they shall be weary. The word which Jeremiah the prophet commanded Seraiah, the son of Neriah, the son of Messiah, when he went with Zedekiah the king of Judah into Babylon in the 4th year of his reign, and this Seraiah was a quiet prince. So Jeremiah wrote in a book all the evil that should come upon Babylon, even all these words that are written against Babylon. And Jeremiah said to Seraiah, when thou comest to Babylon, and shalt see, and shalt read all these words, then shalt thou say, O Lord, thou hast spoken against this place, to cut it off, that none shall remain in it, neither man nor beast, but that it shall be desolate forever. And it shall be, when thou hast made an end of reading this book, that thou shalt bind a stone to it, and cast it into the midst of the Euphrates, and thou shalt say, thus shall Babylon sink, and shall not rise from the evil that I will bring upon her. And they shall be weary. Thus far are the words of Jeremiah. So God's plan is to destroy Babylon, which is synonymous with the world systems. He's going to destroy this because it's holding people captive. The whole world is designed and set up to hold people captive. The world is basically a slave camp. It's designed from your birth to begin to program your mind to think in line with being a slave. That's what school is really for. School, public education, it was brought to bear on lives in order to program people to be servants of the empire. You see, it used to be a lot of private institutions that you got your schooling in. You know, Harvard, Yale, all those were private schools. Most of them were started by churches. But see, the devil came in, institutionalized education. A lot of public schools wouldn't be in existence if you had church schools, because you teach them the gospel mixed in with education. So they had to get a public secular system that allowed no God in it in order to prepare people to be slaves for the empire. It's a Roman system of education so that you won't think outside of the box they put you in. See, only people who get their minds liberated enough to think outside of the scope of what they put into you can actually be free. Most of us were institutionalized from elementary school, through high school, through college, if you went to college, to think like they told you to think. This is why when you bring the gospel to bear on people's lives, their minds go into almost a frenzy because they cannot understand or see how this could be real, what you're saying, because their minds, they've been brainwashed through institutions. The parents accepted it. Churches accepted by the droves. They preach inside the box. There's no supernatural, nothing. It's just like a nice. They fit into the Roman Empire. And see, we all think of Catholicism as being the Roman church, but it's not. It's just one of them. Religion as a whole, church as a whole, is Romanized. It's designed for them to put leaders in place that they have handpicked to keep the people in control and under control. That's why churches are a nice social gathering of people who are basically the same economically and racially and ethnically. You come and you sit, you listen to this garbage for 2 hours, and you go back to your slave camp on Monday morning. We give you the weekend off. Slaves get the weekend off to kind of fool around and go to football games and baseball games and spend your money we gave you. It goes back into the system through all the entertainment. See, the entertainment designed to put the money back in again. Did you know that? All this is what, look, these guys got slide rulers thinking this up. This ain't like a bunch of doofuses sitting around and just helter-skelter. They sit down and they know what you're going to do when they put in the input. They put in, if this, we do this, 7.3 people will do that. If you do this, you'll get 10 people out of 20 who do this. So they know. All this is a mind game. So you got to back your mind out of it. Only those who can back their minds out of it can walk in freedom. See, everything that's being done down here, you think hip-hop came from the streets. No, it didn't. Hip-hop came from a boardroom with a bunch of guys wearing ties thinking up how to control the folk. Say, okay, you got massive oppression, you got fatherlessness, you got drugs, you got prostitution, you got straight joints, you got this, that, and the other. Now, what we got to figure out, boys, is how we make money out of this. We don't care about the mayhem and the murder because they're going to kill most of themselves. You know, they're even playing out the bleed over effect to the suburbs and the white guys out there in the suburbs. They'll have, okay, we can handle probably 20 to 25, 30% attrition because it's going to bleed over that much to our population where we live at. Now, we won't let them come as far as, Gwinnett with that junk. We'll 285 will set up a barrier there so they won't infest us with too much of it. There'll be some bleed over, but we figure about $250 billion a year from the whole deal. Then they put the operation into effect. People don't believe this. I'm saying this standing right here, but most folk will never believe that it's just this well thought out. The human mind is not a dumb mind. The human mind looks at situations and then thinks of ways to exploit it. Now we're going to need some folk that we can sit out front as their heroes. Because, see, people don't react unless they got leaders. They got to have heroes. So they handpick the heroes who they can put out in front as somebody who's going to be like an anti-type of social acceptance. In other words, you got to be a rebel because we're exploiting the rebellion. You see what I'm saying? So we got to get an absolute rebel. A drug pusher, somebody been shot, a person that's used to mayhem and murder and chaos. Put him out front as the anti-type of social behavior, so they'll have us have an object of emulation. This is what the graven image has become. Graven images have now been humanized. They're flesh and blood. They're no longer statues. You won't worship a statue. So you're too intellectual now. They would still use statues. They can make you buy into it, but you won't. So they had to take it out of the statue and humanize it and make it a flesh and blood creature. And it's the same thing. What fool would follow Hitler? Hitler exploited an economically deprived, depressed society. And he told them they were the master race and he was their savior. That's why he raised up Hitler as a god. Because he gave them hope. Outside of the present day despondency and depression, Hitler gives us hope that we'll rise out of the ashes and be successful. And he almost took over the whole European continent with that. The Aryan master race. See, that was birthed in hell, conceived in hell, and well thought out by a bunch of guys. Everything you see down here in America happening today is happening on purpose. They allow Farrakhan. Farrakhan is a controller of a particular area of the populace. Anybody you see, they allow it. The Roman Empire is global. You got global planners that orchestrate pockets of the world. If you don't pull your mind out of it, you'll buy into this mess and think it's real. The guy at a concert just jumping up, yelling as loud as he can with his hand pumped in the air, yelling for 50 cents. They come out with their company with these rappers, Murder Incorporated. They come out, that's it. Murderers in jail are heroes to these guys. Man, he done killed 3 people, man. That dude a murderer, man. Got a teardrop in his eye, It's crazy. But see, they got to have that in order to get the money. They making money selling the clothes. I mean, these baggy pants. Okay, where they coming from? Somebody making them and selling them. They're making money off of this. It's all about the money. Everything on earth is about the money. And if you can be exploited by it, you will have your mind engaged in it, believing it, and you'll be believing a lie. That's why the Bible only talks about overcomers. Folks that overcome the Babylonian system that God's about to destroy. See, a lot of people say, well, if you're saved, what are you saved from? The Bible depicts exactly what you're saved from. You're saved from the wrath to come. The devil's wrath? No, God's wrath. So we're being pulled out of the crosshairs of God's wrath. God is saving us from Him. We think God is saving us from the devil. What's the devil to God? God is saving us from Him, because He knows what He's going to do to human beings. So salvation is actually pulling you out of God's judgment on rebellion. That's what. And salvation is a divine intervention in your life to save you from God's wrath. See, Jesus came knowing what God the Father would do to rebels. And that's why He came down to save you from the wrath to come. See, people are strange in that when appetites override logic, you might as well prepare to be destroyed. You know what I'm saying? If you're hooked to an appetite so strongly that the gospel cannot save you, there's no hope for you. Because the appetite is more important than the gospel. And you find that sinners usually find a reason for not coming and being saved to dismiss the appetite out of their soul. You know, he's too judgmental. He judges people. He talk about people too much. I don't think it's right. I don't think the gospel wants you talking about folk. No, you still like what you're doing. Later for you. Go out there, back out, and let that crowbar be bent over your head again, and then talk to me. Maybe you'll get over it. But what, I carry no emotion about that, about people wanting to be damned. I mean, it's too energy depleting to try to figure out why a person won't be saved. Can't do it. It's too crazy. See people come here, come to church. You sit there and hear the truth about the situation, and sit there and still stand against with everything in you because of what you want. That's insanity. That's insanity. It's people who want their husband to be whoremongers because it gives them power. They like him lusting after girls because it gives them power. Most of all, I had to live in the thing myself because he don't have the power to tell me what to do or to instruct me or lead me or guide me because he's a whoremonger. So I like that about him. And you try to understand all the logic and the weirdness of people's lives, you'll go insane. That's why at some point, man, you got to disengage your mind from people because there's no way to figure it out. And if you got your mind engaged trying to unravel all that distorted thinking, man, you'll lose it. People think in distorted, convoluted ways that nobody can ever try to imagine in any stretch of the imagination figuring out. You cannot do it. So what you got to do is work on your own mind to get your own mind clear from the effects of Babylon. And see, Babylon can have deeply rooted effects on your mind that you don't even recognize they're there until they're gone. So in the insane asylum, nobody's crazy. You know what I'm saying? In the insane asylum, everybody's as normal as everybody else. I'm sitting there banging my head against the wall. Another person with their thumb in their lips. Another person out there looking at the window saying, help, 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 over and over again. Another person sitting there trying to tie knots together all day. But in here, man, I don't see nothing wrong. Because I'm one of them. See, that's what I'm saying. You don't know how crazy you are until there's detachment and release from crazy. You don't know you're dealing with somebody crazy until God somehow separates you from that crazy man. You can come in this thing and think somebody's spiritual and they're actually crazy. You think they're deep and just they're nutty as a fruitcake. It's telling you also about the Lord, and the Lord showed them this, and the Lord showed them that, and the Lord showed them in a dream how He's going to do this, that, and the other, and the Lord said this, and the Lord, the Lord spoke to me, and said, the Lord. To find out long term, them folks just they're crazy. See, that's because you're still looking on the outside for some evidences. You've been trying to be led by somebody outside of you, external to you. And you got to understand, you have a natural propensity and a natural tendency to follow the false that's in you from nature. You have a natural inclination to go with that which is false. You have a natural inclination to follow that which is matriarchal. Did you know that? That you'll follow that which is soft and matriarchal and then requiring a discipline in your life. You'll instinctively follow that before you follow discipline. That was birth from Adam and Eve. See, you got to fight against that which becomes and seems like it's normal to you. You would never, in the history of the world, find this many women attracted to a feminine guy unless something had been introduced into their lives that was totally abnormal. They saw their daddy was a feminine, or they had no daddy, and all they knew was matriarchy. And now, what happened to you, it happened to a lot of women who come here. If I preach hard, and their husband is sitting there, they don't want their husband to become a man, because they don't have the ability to be a woman. So they begin to blind his mind. They begin to scatter his mind. He don't even know what's happening to him, but she is doing things supernatural to his mind to obscure what? What you trying to blind him to? The cross. Witchcraft always obscures the cross. See, the gospel will kill you, and out of your loins will resurrect Christ. So you got to obscure the cross so you won't go through the process. Because, see, I don't have the ability to be a woman, and my greatest fear is that you'll become a man. Now I must supplement and complement a man. I don't know how. I'm exploiting your weaknesses. See, the only thing that a Jezebel spirit can exploit and a witchcraft worker can exploit are the female tendencies in a man. Did you know that? It can't deal with the masculine tendencies. It can only exploit the female tendencies. That's why it will try to get you to be emotional. Folks tell me all the time, you don't have no feelings. You don't. Look. Oh, crazy, the crazy, who used to do this? The nutty OJs used to sing this song. Last night, me and my woman cried together. Then we made love. Last night, me and my woman, we cried together. Don't no woman want no guy crying with them. The woman come to you crying, she wants some kind of comfort, some kind of strength, and some kind of something that's going to stabilize her. She crying because she's emotionally distraught, but she wants stability. You break down crying too. You ain't got nothing there to work with. Somebody scared don't want somebody else scared to hold on to. You know what I'm saying? If you run somebody, you scared. I want Candy not to be scared when I get to her. You know what? She always say, look, calm down, relax. That's what you want. You looking for, what in the world we going to do? That is crazy, ain't it? See, somebody got to be an anchor in a storm. The guy should be an anchor that can hold. You don't want emotionalism in a guy. You want stability. That's why women don't respect no guys, because they're just as girly and wimpy as they are. If you can get a guy mad, you don't respect him. Did you know that? If you easily get mad, where's the stuff I put down? I killed somebody up. You losing respect in it for him by degrees, because he's emotional. Emotional folk are strange people who don't get respect. A woman is not naturally emotional, but she's sensitive. It's a difference, man, than being emotional and being sensitive. See, we think that a woman is we know women are emotional. They're just sensitive. They can pick up things that guys can't pick up a lot of times because they got another sense operating to protect them. But it's abnormal for you to just be going off and in a friend being crazy and getting worked up over everything and crying at the drop of a hat. You need to go to God and find out what's wrong with you. Because you about to have crazy. Because the things he's about to do, if you're emotional, you're going to be through. He's going to hit you like a brick. Blood don't bother me. It don't bother me at all. I mean, I can see somebody bleed to death. I'm neutral about it. It don't affect me. You know, I done been around folk beheaded, seen folk bleeding profusely. It just don't, they split my wife open, pulled out 2 babies. It don't bother me. I got a brother-in-law, he 300 pounds, 6'5". He passed out in there. He hit the floor like a sack of potato. He can't take the sight of blood. But to me, it don't make no difference, man. This ain't nothing but a shell you live in. I'm not saying I'm like this because I'm tough or strong or whatever. It's just that way. I mean, I don't feel nothing about it. You know what I'm saying? And to me, from reading this Bible, that's a good thing to me. Because we're going to see blood letting like a river around here, man. And if you easily shook up by it, I don't know what you're going to do, because you're going to live your life distraught half of the time. You know. You got to be anchored in this word, and things on the external cannot move you quickly and violently, because things can happen rapidly. Rapidly, things can come upon you that you never figured on. You can drive down the highway and somebody jump off a bridge and you see a Mack truck splatter them over the highway, bust them asunder in front of you. Now what you going to do now? Just go to pieces? That's the way it is. I mean, Jesus, 18 people had this tower fall on them. He said, hey, you better take heed lest it have anything happen to you. You see Jesus still tearing down the street yelling. John the Baptist is beheaded, and you see Jesus go somewhere and just sulk and weep and cry all day. Life ends in split seconds down here. You could be standing here 1 minute and gone the next. You got to begin to get your mind programmed to accept that fact. You can be standing here tonight, tomorrow morning somebody in this room will be gone. And everybody I'm just so depressed. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just destroyed inside from it, you know. Oh man, life goes on. See, the anchor for the soul is an eternal life. That's what anchors people to do spiritual things. What's the anchor? The overcomer's anchor in life is the fact that they're living for something bigger than they are, that's eternally focused. In other words, I will not sustain myself in what I'm seeing in front of me right now unless I have a hope for something that's greater than this. You know where I'm coming from? That's the only anchor you have. If it wasn't for that, you give up on this down here. Looking out here on the horizontal, you say, I'm out going to get a final 45 and blow my brains out. It's hopeless. But the fact that I have a vision and a hope for something greater and outside of this gives you strength to hold on now. Nobody will ever march out into an unseen realm to conquer unless they have a hope for something greater than what they're looking at. You know, Alexander the Great was not a big, strong guy. But he had a vision that was greater than circumstances that existed at the present day he lived in. They got to a river to cross. They were going to cross the Euphrates going east to conquer. And everybody bogged down because they didn't have any maps past that river to show them where they were going. And Alexander the Great had a horse that was a mad horse. You couldn't ride him. And every time somebody got him, they'd throw him because he was spooked. But Alexander the Great figured out that the horse's shadow was spooking him. Every time he saw his own shadow, it scared him. So what he did, he pointed the horse, to break him, he pointed the horse toward the sun so he couldn't see his shadow. He broke the horse, and the horse would actually kneel down for Alexander the Great to get on him. The horse was so broken by Alexander the Great, he'd walk up to him and the horse would get on his knees for Alexander the Mountain. When he got to that river, the guys were there distraught, generals didn't know what to do, the soldiers were scared to cross because they didn't have no. He got on that horse and rode into that river. And everybody followed him. He had no clue where he was going. All you need is somebody that has the guts to cross the river and go into the unknown. People will follow you. You don't have to give people precise step-by-step proceedings. You got to just go across that river yourself and know, hey, look, I'm going into a realm whereby God is real, Christ rules, there's something greater than this, there's hopelessness here, so we might as well cross this river and see. That's what the Israelites faced. See, that's the logic of the Jordan River. You don't have anything. What do you have to lose if you cross the river? And that's why God, on this side of the river, will begin to let everything dry up. He lets the natural world dry up so that you'll do what? Cross into the spirit world. See, there'll be no help. He's telling you, look, ain't no more ravens coming to the natural world. And this brook you sitting by is dried up. The stuff you used to do to get something, it don't work no more. If you want supply now, it's in the spirit world. Cross the river. You have to fast and pray your way across that river. And then you'll find your supply across the river. See, over here, there'll be no more help for church folk on this. I can tell you right now, in the natural, there'll be no more help for church people. Call me a prophet, call me a seer, call me whatever. There ain't no more help over here. You have to war yourself against those cosmic creators, those world rulers, into the spirit world, And as you war in, you'll find yourself being divested of everything inside you that's holding you in an unseen way. You'll be in deliverance in order to dwell in the spirit world. See, that's what happened. If you cross and face them, everything you face will be released from you. And see, I'm not an introspective person. See, a convoluted mind, when you teach it, it's so introspective, it just circles in a certain place forever. Because I can't fix that. What do I mean by that? If I teach a lesson on some area, a person will live there introspectively looking at themselves like that forever. Instead of just, because some things I might say up here don't even apply to you. If it don't apply to you, blow it off and keep moving. Some folks just, everything they hear is like, that's my problem right there. And they just stay right there forever. I can't do nothing about that. Because I'm preaching diverse messages that hit different people at different times. You got to know you. If it don't influence you, affect you, it don't bother you. If I'm delivered of lust, I can be around Candy. I don't got to lust after Candy. I can hang with Candy. We can go out. We can hang around, eat dinner, eat breakfast, hang around, do things. If I'm delivered of that thing, what do I care about being around her? If I'm bound by it, I have all kind of quirks and character traits about me that's weird, trying to not look at her. When I'm talking, hey, Candy. I'm crazy. There's something wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with her. There's something wrong with me. You got your shoulders exposed. You trying to solicit something out of me. No, I'm just crazy. I'm crazy. I'm about to have crazy myself. See, why you gonna put crazy in you on somebody else? You got your knees out. You trying to distract me while I'm preaching. Look at you with your knees. Look at you. Got them sandals on. You trying to put something on me. Fool, you just crazy. See, at some point, you got to cross the river. Physical things can't be moving you. You got to see a spiritual realm, and you looking to save souls. See, the problem with us is we're so carnal that our minds are so limited that God can't move. You know, I don't have no problem going to Romania. I'll go. It don't make me no difference. I can be teaching this classroom in a Romanian room somewhere with a translator. What difference would it make? It's the same thing. What I'm saying here will apply there. I'll go to Czechoslovakia, Africa. It don't make no difference. What different? The gospel is the same everywhere. But we'd be thinking, my little house on my corner, my job, and my bills. I've been waiting for God to expand the border and let's move out, man. Let's move out from this little encapsulated view of life. The whole world awaits us like an oyster ready to be plucked from the bottom of the sea.